To see the entire 60-minute video, go to Yahoo Video and search Robert Morey on their homepage. These links will also get you there. www.putfile.com/Lieutenant Columbo/media or saintaugustinian.blogspot.com and look for important Dr. Robert A. Morey links.
I like what Mark Twain once said. He said, always tell the truth. There's so much less to remember.
Exactly. And then to recap what we've talked about so far, you were fired by Morey for informing him of what you saw was unethical and illegal practices going on within his organization by some of his staff members. Is that correct?
Well, yes. I mean, that's the way it's interpreted on this end, and not just by Mr. Mike and his wife, but by a lot of people. Of course, if you ask Dr. Bob,
he'll deny it.
No, he would give you another reason.
Right, but that's typical.
Larry, I have to say, I woke up one day, and all of a sudden, I was enemies with, quote-unquote, everybody on staff. Bob told me, he said, Mike, and it's very condescending. It was a lot of finger wagging. Climb up on my lap, Mr. Mike. I'm going to show you how life is. Let me in on some wisdom here. It was very condescending.
Right.
Now, Mike, I've gone around to all the staff members. Now, that is a quote. My wife was there. She can vouch. If you think she's just taking sides because she's my wife, well, okay, that's for up to you.
Well, when it comes to Morey, I always believe the other guy. So I believe you. Go ahead.
So he said, now, Mr. Mike, I've gone around to all the staff members, and they all said that they don't want you on staff anymore. And I thought, well, gee, that's odd. Some of these very staff members that you're referring to, I didn't say this out loud, of course, but some of these other staff members that he was referring to were coming to me with complaints. And all I did was listen. I didn't, I put my mouth in neutral and my ears in drive. And all I did was just do most of the listening. Of course, we compared notes, but it didn't make sense. And then after he said that, I actually went around to some of these staff members. And it ended up being, there were only 2 staff members, and they are related by blood, and that's all I'll say for now. Not related to Morey, but related to each other. Those were the only 2 I didn't consult because they were the only 2 that I suspected. Everybody else, unbeknownst to Dr. Bob himself, I went around and I asked him, did you tell Dr. Bob you no longer wanted me on staff? They looked at me like I was from Mars.
Well, you see, it's so easy to prove Morey as a rabid liar because he says so many lies all the time. All he has to do, and what he depends on is most people not to check on him, but he lies constantly, and all you really have to do is just do some basic research. But there's all these Moreyite, almost like cult-like followers who just accept what he says and they don't try to verify what he's saying. If they did so, they would be able to do something as easily as you just did when you just went around and found out that these people had no clue. But you were told by Morey you went and talked to everyone, which you easily proved was false. So,
yeah, they just gave me a deer in the headlights, like, don't you remember? We just had lunch today.
That's right. So, it's so obvious. So, to recap, you got lied to, you got fired for bringing out things that Morey didn't want anyone to know about, so he gets rid of anybody that looks like they're going to blow the whistle on him. Or just one quick question on that, now that you bring this up. You gave him the money to invest for you. Is that how it worked? You wrote $70,000 in checks or whatever, put it into his hands to make the investments for you.
Correct.
So it was absolute trust in Morey to handle your funds for your family.
Yeah.
And he gave you $500 back for your $70,000.
Well, we received a check for $500, and some letter of explanation that looked like it came from the law offices of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. I don't know. Back in a file somewhere.
Going to touch.
Yeah.
Man. That's rough. That's rough. But
And now let's hear a few more quotes from Truth Seeker Bob.
Because there are people like that who, if they really were honest and they really wanted to know the truth, they would be willing to look at this.
And there's a lot of liars out there. And Jesus said, be not deceived. There are lots of false prophets. They will come to you in sheep's clothing. And there's a lot of people who write a lot of books who lie about a lot of things. I'm just saying that I don't care if they're so-called Christian writers or non-Christian writers. Try to check it out.
That is, men who fear God. Therefore, they will be trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain.
I didn't have any previous training, but if a sucker can be taken once, he can be taken several times.
But you seem to go against the grain of from what I've heard.
Yeah, I'll make it very, very simple. When I was a student at Westminster, you must understand that God gifted me to be a profound reader. I mean, I'm talking 20 books an hour, 25 books an hour, where I literally would go and find such things.
Robert Morey, who has claimed in his ministry mailings that he held a degree from Faith Theological Seminary, Gujranwala, Pakistan, has had this supposed degree revoked by the same institute. The certificate of cancellation is seen here, and the school can be contacted for more information. Morey claims in newsletters that he has mailed out by the thousands nationwide during different years that the Wessel brothers of Texas had embezzled and stolen large sums of money from his ministry, and therefore he needs supporters to send him as much money as they can to make up for this. Morey has consistently made these claims about the Wessels brothers, who he, in more recent years, refers to as the Russell brothers of Texas. These claims have been made by national mailings, word of mouth, facts, in his church, at national conferences, and even on his national radio show over many years. Documentation and witness testimonies indicate Morey has claimed the Wessels have stolen anywhere from $30,000 to as much as $150,000. Instead of turning the Wessels over to law enforcement officials for criminal prosecution, Morey has chosen to seek those who will believe his Wessels-Russell Brothers of Texas story in order to secure sympathy and financial support. If Morey's claims about the Wessels and or Russell brothers are untrue, then Morey is telling false stories in order to obtain money from the public. If you or someone you know has heard this story, or more importantly, if you have actually given money to Robert Morey as a result of this story, please contact us right away. Please contact Larry Wessels, Post Office Box 144441, Austin, Texas 78714, or call 512-218-8022 and leave a message. And now for a final word from Truth Seeker Robert Morey.
David, welcome to Truth Seekers.
Hello, Dr. Morey. How are you?
I'm doing fine, having more fun than is legal.